What is good, everyone? Welcome to the channel. My name is Paul. I make videos about Japanese society, life, and culture from the viewpoint of a long-term foreign resident. And today I'm doing something I haven't done in a while, which is actually showcase something in my city, Yokohama. I'm here in Yokohama Chinatown today, and we're going to be going to two restaurants on this trip. One for lunch, one for dinner. Now the first one for lunch is actually the lowest ranked Chinese restaurant in Chinatown. It has only 2.4 stars both on Google reviews and TripAdvisor, which that's almost unheard of in Japan. But then for dinner, we're going to be going to a different restaurant. We have reservations at 7:30 for a place that is actually ranked in the top 10 of restaurants in Yokohama, not just Chinatown, but in all of Yokohama. So we're gonna get a taste, literally, of two different sides of Yokohama's Chinatown today. Now, I say we are going and we have reservations because I'm here with my good friend Don today. Don, come on into the shop. So,
how's it going?
Now, Don, you might know from some famous YouTube channels such as, well, this one. He's been on the channel twice. The first time I interviewed him in 2020 on Zoom about the bar restaurant business that he started here in Japan as a foreigner. And I actually went to his business where I went through the gauntlet of his 10 spicy chicken wings, basically set up like the Hot Ones famous YouTube channel. And Don played the part of Sean Evans, the interviewer, where as I made my way through progressively spicier and spicier wings, he asked me progressively spicier and spicier questions. So Don, we're starting off at Yokohama's lowest ranked Chinese restaurant. What do you think we're in for?
Well, because it's a Chinese restaurant with, I'm assuming, Japanese reviews, I assume then that they're going to complain mostly about rude service and spicy food.
Okay, that's a pretty good prediction. Let's actually take a look at what some of the reviews say. According to John C., it's not worth dining in. It was expensive and the service was not good. Don't waste your money. Don't trust restaurants that have folks trying to invite you in to eat. So when we go there today, we're going to see if there's someone outside who's trying to beckon us in. Alan G. writes, good came out lukewarm. I assume they mean food. Came out lukewarm, so we told the waitress. She took the food away and reproduced the same food, which was reheated in a microwave. Ended up leaving all the food and paying 5,000 yen for the pleasure. Rude staff, avoid at all costs. Daniel M. says, terrible food that came out cold and bad service. Tasted like the food had been cooked an hour before and left sitting there waiting for someone to order it. Avoid at all costs. Solnanda says, even if this is the only place that is empty, you can't go in. He goes on to review individual dishes, like the gomoku ankake yakisoba. The noodles are also savory and tasteless. I'm not sure how that goes together. Gomiyaki beef han. This one is also tasteless and tasteless. Double tasteless. The Haofu special green onion soba. Extraordinary amount of raw garlic slices in there. And it's bad. It sucks. So Don, it looks like we might be in for cold food, bad service, and food that might actually suck. Are you ready?
I'm curious. Definitely curious.
Let's go. Just to be clear, we are not reviewing the food of these places per se. We're actually testing the reviews. This isn't a food review channel, so we're actually just trying to see how well people have characterized the places that we're going. All right, Don, place number one down, and I have to say that, in my opinion, most of the reviews were kind of busted.
I can kind of see what they're getting at, and I'm assuming then that maybe it was during a busy time and stuff. I mean,
sure.
I've seen a lot of people do reviews during busy times, and which is it's a legit concern.
One of the things I said was food came out super slow in the reviews, but that mabo tofu we ordered first, it came out in like a minute and a half. Like it just flew out. And then the pork belly was maybe a couple minutes later, so it was totally fast service. The food came out right away.
They seem to, like a lot of the other restaurants here, they seem to specialize in buffet style stuff.
Right,
or
right.
All you can eat. I mean, not buffet, but all you can eat. So I'm assuming that they have a lot of it preset. And
right.
So,
well, the mabo tofu was definitely not cooked to our order. It came out way too fast for that.
They cater to the all you can eat. And so, I mean, we tried to give them the benefit of the doubt and order individual dishes to see how that test would go.
Yeah, so we deliberately ordered a la carte. The other complaint, though, was that the food came out cold. And that was also not our experience. The food came out totally warm, no problem with the temperature in my mind.
Yeah, there was no problem with the temperature.
How about the flavor? What'd you think?
Very, very basic. There was nothing wrong with it. It did not taste bad, but it was very, very basic. It's something that you can find in most of Japanese Chinese restaurants.
It tasted like pretty standard Chinese that you would get in most places. The mapo tofu was not Szechuan or shisen style, as they say in Japan. So it wasn't that special peppercorn, but the price was as if it was the more expensive type. The pork belly, actually the texture of the pork, like the actual braised pork, was excellent, I thought. The sauce was just a little bit more bland than I would have liked. It needed some more like star anise or like 5 spice in it to bring it out.
Just from my nice texture.
Yeah, the texture was great, but just from my experience with the taste, it was fine. What you run into a lot of times in Chinatown is that there's so many Japanese tourists who prefer a kind of lighter, frankly more bland taste. So I think a lot of restaurants really tone down the flavor.
Taste.
Yeah, subtle flavor. Bland is the wrong word. You're right. Subtle flavor. Japanese cuisine is generally subtle. Chinese cuisine not so much. So basically, at the end of the day, I would say that the really poor reviews don't stand up in my mind. There was nothing wrong with the place.
For myself, if I didn't know any better, then I would give it a poor review. But to me, I mean, that restaurant was like on the main street, and so that's like trying to go to a restaurant right outside of a hotel. Mm-hmm. So you're pretty much asking for that high price in the first place.
Yeah.
So if this was in a different location, and then the prices wouldn't make sense, and I would give it a low rating, like a 2-star or so.
That's a good point. It was right on the main drag, and so I think if they tried to charge the prices they did on one of the little side alleyway streets where the smaller restaurants are, it would have seemed kind of off. It was expensive for what you got, but not unreasonable for the location. The last review that was brought up was rude service, which we totally didn't get.
No, I even spilled water, and they weren't pissed at it or nothing like that. They didn't give us any lip or anything. Now
I can't take him anywhere.
You knew what you were getting into when you invited me.
Yeah, I did. But yeah, so the only instance that we encountered that I could maybe see as seen as rude by some people was there was one waitress who didn't really speak Japanese, and we didn't try English with her, and so she had to summon over a different wait staff to kind of help us because she didn't understand what I was trying to say, and they spoke in Chinese and got it sorted out. But I could see if you're a tourist and you don't speak any Japanese and they're not speaking Japanese or English, like it could have come across as rude. But to me, it was just like
a cultural barrier.
Yeah, it wasn't rude per se. It was
if you're used to Japan and Japanese restaurants in general, you're going to be used to that overly friendly type of welcoming staff mentality. So that might be, I think that there's a bias because, they're used to that over here.
Sure.
But in there, it's typical, just, oh, okay, well, that's what you need. Okay, good, we're done.
There were several tables around us with Chinese customers. And so that tells me that if like actual Chinese people local to this area will eat in that restaurant, then it can't be bad. Right.
It was a pretty full place. It wasn't like packed, but there were only like maybe a small handful of empty tables, and they kept having a lot of people coming in and out. So the fact that they're still in business means that their business model is working for them.
Yep.
Which shows their actual intentions with the whole pricing and everything. So,
all right, we will give our final ratings, and you'll see that right now. Ready for your YouTube debut?
No, yes. We're not.
For dinner, along with Don, we are introducing one other guest, Rio. This is a friend of both of ours and actually a former student of mine in the university. And she's joining us for dinner. Rio, what are you expecting from dinner tonight?
To eat a lot.
To eat a lot? Okay, I think we can handle that. Again, we're not a food channel. We're basically testing the reviews of these places. So I need to read a few reviews of why this place is so good. OHG says, best Chinese food I've ever had. Service is top notch. Thanks for making our night memorable. Ochida Tomohisa says, all dishes are delicious. The taste is consistent no matter when you go. Recommended. Revisited on April 21st, 2018. It was delicious. October 25th, 2018. All of them are delicious. October 31st. It's still delicious. Dipanshu Agarwal says, one of good Chinese restaurants to try out varieties of Chinese food, especially the mapo tofu or tantan noodles. A good place to visit to enjoy Chinese food in Yokohama. Let's get going. I don't know about you guys, but I am completely stuffed. That was quite a bit of food. How do we feel about it? Was it good? How was your experience? Let's start with the newest guest. How'd you feel about, let's start with the service.
Well, I don't know the first place, but it was a good place. I think it's like a very standard Japanese type of service. Mm-hmm. They were all nice, they were professional. I think it was good.
Yeah, I agree with that. And I would say that I believe they were all Japanese staff as well. We had all Chinese staff at the restaurant for lunch, but this time it was Japanese. How about you? How was the service in your mind?
It's fine. It's what you would expect from from a restaurant that's located inside a somewhat fancy hotel.
Yeah, it was very standard Japanese service, polite, professional. Yeah, I agree. How about the speed of the food coming out? Because that was one of the things we assessed during the lunch service. How do you feel about that? Let's start with you, Don.
It came out at an adequate time. In fact, it actually came out not as fast as the other place, but came out much faster than I expected. Because one of the dishes we ordered, they said it was going to take maybe 20 minutes or so, but it was out in half that time easily.
Flavor, the most important thing. How was the food actually?
Unbiased first.
Unbiased, yeah. Well, yeah. So you have nothing to compare it to. So, like, from your experience eating Chinese food, how was it?
Well, I don't have that much experience eating Chinese food, like a very authentic Chinese food. Okay. And I don't really like spicy food in the first place. But for the mapo tofu, I think it was like a very traditional flavor. It was spicy, but it had more like how do you say, like, not the spicy as in like pepper, but more of like the spices that they use.
Right.
But I was able to eat it, so that was good. And the pork belly, it was very soft. Like the meat was a little bit chewy for me. So like when I eat it, the fat and like the actual like the red meat part, it just kind of like fell apart. But it was good. And the dumpling, the soup was so good. Yeah.
I think actually the dish that I liked best at this place was the one we didn't have for lunch, which was the dumplings. And the soup was good, the dumplings themselves were decent. Of the two other dishes, I preferred the mapo tofu to the beef. The mapo tofu, I liked it because it was spicier than what we had for lunch. However, there is better Szechuan here in Chinatown than this one, to be honest. The beef, I liked. I'm gonna go heretic here. I actually liked the lunch place better. I thought that for me the sauce was a little more authentic to my taste. This was a very, very rich, heavy, a little bit oily sauce. And we both said it was kind of like beef stew in what it reminded us of. Now, Don here disagrees. Why don't you give your opinion on the pork?
On the pork specifically?
Yeah, let's start with the pork, because that's where we had the biggest disagreement over the table.
Well, it depends on the cut of meat and stuff that you had, right? Like, or the slices that were available. Mm-hmm. Because my first slices over there at the other spot, it had a lot more of the skin, so that was actually tougher for me. And over here, though, I had more of, I guess, the fat and less of the meat part, so it didn't feel that tough to me. It felt softer here. I felt both places were overrated and overpriced, and neither were authentic enough.
Yeah,
so.
I think overall that's what I would go with. Like, for the price, you could probably get really good Chinese food for a lot less money than both the lunch and the dinner place. So we're gonna give our final ratings, stars out of 5, and we'll put that on the screen. Any final words?
Well, it was good.
It was good.
It was good.
Again, thank you so much to the two of you for coming out. I hope you enjoyed your time in Chinatown today. I hope you got something out of it. If you did, be sure to hit the like button, subscribe. If you've made it this far in the video and you aren't subscribed, what are you doing? And I hope to see you on the next one. Alright everyone, I'm back home and I just wanted to put a few final notes on this video because actually Don had to rush at the end there because he had to catch a train to be able to get home. So our final thoughts, we kind of got them out there pretty quickly, and there were 3 other things that we agreed upon that should also be mentioned. The first is, you can go just about anywhere in Chinatown and get really basic, good, satisfying Chinese cuisine. Just about any restaurant. You can go into pretty much any door that you see and you'll probably have a decent time. So in the end, it's probably about price. You're not going to get much more by paying much more. That said, the second thing is you might want to veer from that path if you are looking for a particular dish and there's a restaurant that does that dish especially well. And I'm actually planning on doing a video in the future where I go to my favorite place for mapo tofu, which is done actually in really nice Szechuan style. It's spicy, it's hot, more authentic than most of the places in Chinatown in terms of what they're willing to serve you. And one final point that Don especially wanted to push was that the street food can be absolutely excellent. If you see a place that has a line, it seems very popular, like this one I'm showing on the screen right now, this is really good, it's worth standing in line for. And that could be your best bet for a few interesting and delicious eats in Chinatown if you're not there for a full meal. Alright, that's the video. Thank you so much for watching, and I hope to catch you on the next one. I will do more videos about my hometown in the future, probably as a midweek video going forward. Thanks for watching this one in particular though, and thanks again to my guests Don and Rio for joining me, and I'll catch you on the next one.